Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Renuka RS with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India is moving forward with the vision of a self-sufficient nation. Human trials of indigenously developed vaccine for COVID-19 begin in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. Sikkim declares week-long lockdown beginning tomorrow morning in view of recent surge in COVID-19 cases. New Consumer Protection Act comes into force today, aims to empower consumers through various notified rules and provisions. In Bihar, NDRF and SDRF teams deployed in worst flood-affected areas to avert untoward incidents. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said India is moving forward with the vision of a self-sufficient nation. Interacting with IBM CEO Arvind Krishna, Mr. Modi said, "This is a great time to invest in India." He said the government is committed to ensuring that the technological shift towards work from home is smooth. Mr. Modi stressed that the country is moving towards development of an integrated tech and data-driven healthcare system which is affordable and hassle-free. Talking about the impact of COVID on business culture, the Prime Minister says that work from home is being adopted in a big way and the government is constantly working towards providing infrastructure, connectivity and regulatory environment to ensure that this technological shift is smooth. He also discussed the technologies associated and challenges involved in the recent decision of IBM to make 75% of its employees to work from home. The Prime Minister appreciated the role played by IBM in association with CBSE towards the launch of artificial intelligence curriculum in 200 schools in India. He said that the government is working towards introducing students to concepts such as AI, machine learning, etc. at an early age to further the tech temperament in the country. The IBM CEO expressed confidence in the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Mr. Krishna briefed the Prime Minister about the huge investment plans of IBM in India. Our correspondent reports, IBM has huge presence in the country with over 1 lakh people working across 20 cities in the company. Other areas of discussion included the issue of data security, cyber attacks, concerns around privacy and health benefits of yoga.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has said many people are turning to India today to seek solutions. He said India is not a bystander and has contributions to make in all of the big issues of the day like maritime, terrorism, security and climate change. He was speaking at an event on
Chief Minister has asked officials to ensure contact tracing of the patients. He also instructed Chief Secretary to appoint
Dr. Jaishankar said non-alignment was a term of a particular era and a particular geopolitical landscape. He said if India is to grow by leveraging the international situation, the country has to exploit the opportunities out there. He said the era of a great caution and dependence in a sense of multilateralism is to a certain extent gone.
We apologize for that mix-up a little while ago. India is on fast-track mode to develop a COVID-19 vaccine. Speaking to the media in New Delhi today, AIIMS Delhi Director Randeep Guleria informed that the human trials for the indigenously developed vaccine has begun at the Premier Medical Institute. He informed that after the registration procedure and blood sample tests of the health volunteers, the vaccine will be administered to 100 healthy individuals in the first phase. Dr. Guleria said that in the second phase, 750 people will be recruited between 12 and 65 years of age for the human trials. He said the Medical Institute has received an overwhelming response in terms of volunteer registration for the trials.
जो हमारा टारगेट है 100 पेशेंट का वो हो जाए. जब 50 पेशेंट हो गए तो उनको हम मॉनिटर करेंगे जो डेटा सेफ्टी मॉनिटरिंग बोर्ड है उनको डेटा देंगे, फिर उसमें जब लगेगा कि ये सेफ हैं, फिर हम नेक्स्ट फेज में जाएंगे जिसमें फिर और पेशेंट्स को रिक्रूट करेंगे। क्योंकि जब भी हम वैक्सीन शुरू में ट्राई करते हैं, सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है कि वैक्सीन हैज टू बी सेफ। यू कैन नॉट हैव अ वैक्सीन विच कॉजेज मोर हार्म देन गुड। तो इसलिए फर्स्ट स्टेप इज ऑलवेज टू सी सेफ्टी। पहले स्मॉल नंबर्स में अगर उसमें सेफ लगता है देन अ लार्जर नंबर, एंड यू कैन इवन गो टू अ हायर डोज टू मेक श्योर कि व्हाट इज इट इज सेफ इवन एट अ हायर डोज, और उससे थोड़ा आइडिया हो जाता है कि व्हाट इज द एग्जैक्ट डोज दैट इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर गिविंग द वैक्सीन.
Terming development of an indigenous vaccine as a great achievement, Dr. Guleria informed that India's mass production capacity of drugs and vaccines will also help in meeting the demands during its production stage. Replying to a question on community transmission, Dr. Guleria said there is not much evidence that community transmission is happening at national level.
कंट्री का डेटा देखें तो उसमें कोई ज्यादा एविडेंस नहीं है. आईसीएमआर ने पूरा अपना डेटा सीरो सर्वेलेंस का दिखाया था कि एट अ नेशनल लेवल कम्युनिटी ट्रांसमिशन इज हैपनिंग. देयर आर मेनी स्टेट जहां पे अभी बहुत कम केसेज हैं. टू से कि वहां पे कम्युनिटी ट्रांसमिशन हो रहा है वुड नॉट बी अ राइट थिंग. देयर आर हॉटस्पॉट्स इवन इन सिटीज वेयर देयर इज स्पाइक ऑफ केसेज, and it is very likely कि local community transmission in those areas is happening, and that is why I kept saying कि जो containment zones हैं उनमें बड़ा aggressive action की जरूरत है. डोर टू डोर सर्वे करने की जरूरत है. जिनको भी फीवर सिम्टम्स हैं उनके टेस्ट करो, आइसोलेट करो. उससे आप वहां की जो स्प्रेड हो रही है उसको रोक पाओगे और तभी आपके उस एरिया में केसेस कम होंगे.
Dr. Guleria asserted that certain areas in the country, including the national capital, appear to have reached their peak and are now showing a significant decline in the number of cases. He emphasized on continued aggressive action towards containment of infection in hotspots. The AIMS director stressed on the need for enhanced door-to-door testing and isolation measures. Dr. Guleria said that the measures adopted by the government for testing, tracing and treating COVID-19 patients have helped contain the fatality rates in the country as one of the lowest in the world.
In Telangana, the COVID-19 vaccine trials have begun today at the Nizam's Institute of Medical Sciences, NIMS, with hospital officials administering the first vaccine dose to a health volunteer. The first indigenous COVID-19 vaccine being developed by Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, National Institute of Virology, Pune, and a pharma giant Bharat Biotech is expected to be tested on 30 healthy volunteers at NIMS. The volunteers are drawn from across the state and after the vaccine administration will remain in ICU care for a few days before being discharged. Hospital senior doctors informed that their health condition and interaction with the vaccine will be monitored remotely as well as through frequent physical checkups.
The number of recovered people from coronavirus today crossed the 7 lakh mark. The central government today said a total of 7,87,000 people affected with COVID-19 have recovered in the country so far, and with this the recovery rate reached 62.61%. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry said a total of 22,664 people recovered in the past 24 hours. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 3,90,459. The Health Ministry said a total of 40,425 new cases of COVID-19 were reported in the country within 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 11,18,043. This is the highest number of fresh cases reported in one day since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in India. In the single day, 681 deaths were reported, taking the nationwide toll to 27,497. However, the case fatality rate is continuously declining in the country, and it reached 2.45%. Meanwhile, Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, said that a total of 2,56,039 tests of coronavirus samples were conducted by the various laboratories within 24 hours. Our correspondent reports that in terms of recovery rate of coronavirus cases, the top 5 states and union territories are Ladakh, Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat, wherein the recovery rate is above 72%. There are 18 states and union territories that have better recovery rates than the national average of 62.61%. The Sikkim government today ordered a statewide lockdown from 6 a.m. tomorrow to 6 a.m. on 27 July in view of the recent surge in COVID-19 cases. All government offices, shops, commercial establishments, institutions, markets and factories will remain closed except those granted exemptions. Night curfew will be imposed from 7:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. during the lockdown period. The lockdown order issued by Sikkim government today follows a spate in COVID-19 cases across the state and notification of several containment zones, especially in East Sikkim.
Delhi recorded less than 1,000 COVID cases today. It is the lowest number of positive cases recorded in the national capital in a span of more than a month. A total of 954 new confirmed cases of coronavirus have been reported in the city during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to 1,23,747. The Delhi government has confirmed that 1,04,918 people have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 1,784 people recovered and 35 deaths were reported in the national capital, taking the total to 3,663. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the national capital is 15,166. Out of the total available beds for COVID patients, nearly 12,000 beds in hospitals and 7,500 beds in dedicated COVID care centres are vacant in the capital city.
Kerala continued to report surge in COVID-19 cases, with 794 new COVID cases being confirmed today. More from our correspondent.
The state is in high alert as contact COVID cases are on a rise. Among the new cases, 519 persons got the disease through local transmission. The COVID situation in capital city Thiruvananthapuram is getting serious with 182 new COVID cases. Lockdown declared in the city is extended till 28th July. Meanwhile, as more contact spread cases are being reported, lockdown is declared in Palakkad district's Pattambi Taluk and Nellaya Panchayat. In order to strengthen the COVID preventive measures across the state, large meeting of legislatures, local self-government representatives and health workers will be held through video conference day after tomorrow. Meanwhile, state reported one more death due to COVID today, taking the death toll to 43. 245 recoveries were also reported today in the state. Presently, 7,611 persons are under treatment for COVID in Kerala. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
In Jammu and Kashmir, COVID-19 claimed 5 more lives in today, all from Kashmir Valley, taking the death toll to 251. These 5 patients had underlying ailments. 231 people in Kashmir and 20 in Jammu have died so far due to the COVID-19. Meanwhile, the cases continue to see a spike and the current tally is at 13,899 positive cases, 5,844 are active positive and 7,811 have recovered.
With a growing number of COVID patients in Uttar Pradesh and in Lucknow particularly, the state government has taken the decision to allow home quarantine for asymptomatic patients, though the state government has reiterated that it has adequate number of beds in the COVID hospitals. More from our correspondent.
Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has said that a large number of asymptomatic COVID-infected patients are hiding their illness, which may give further rise to infection. So the decision was taken. The home isolation will be allowed under certain provisions of laid out norms for asymptomatic patients. The patients and their families will have to follow the home isolation protocol. Chief Minister said that besides implementing this arrangement, the people should be made aware of the prevention from the COVID infection. He directed the Health and Medical Education departments to ensure an effective action to bring down the COVID mortality rate to the minimum level, and contact tracing should be done at any cost to contain the infection. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
The total number of COVID-19 affected people in Tamil Nadu has exceeded 1.75 lakh with a confirmation of 4,985 cases today. Meanwhile, the state government has decided to implement a scheme to promote the cultivation of vegetable and fruit-bearing crops to help their easy availability everywhere. A report.
Dietitians say an adult is required to take at least 100 grams of fruit and 300 grams of vegetables a day. However, its consumption depends on the broad-based and easy availability of the farm products. To motivate vegetable farming, the Tamil Nadu government has announced the incentive scheme and has asked the farmers cultivating them to register themselves in its app Ulavan. The administration says they can get an incentive of 2,500 rupees per hectare. As the farm products help improve immunity, incentivizing the cultivation may yield more benefits than what is being sold. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
In Puducherry, 93 persons were tested positive for the coronavirus disease and 1 person died in the last 24 hours. According to the COVID-19 status report released by the Health Department, 82 cases were reported in Puducherry region and 11 in Karaikal. As many as 111 patients were treated and discharged from hospitals in the last 24 hours.
Although the number of corona-affected people in Mumbai seems to be large, the number of patients recovering daily is high. The total number of corona patients has gone up to 1,01,224 till July 19th, and so far 71,685 of them have returned home after recovering. Now there are only 23,828 active cases in the city. The recovery rate in Mumbai has gone up to 70%. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
The rate of number of corona-positive cases in Mumbai has reduced to 1.21%. Till yesterday, it was 1.26%. In 13 wards of the Mumbai civic body, it is less than 1.2%, whereas the doubling rate has increased to 57 days in the city. Yesterday, it was 55 days. In another development, the state government has provided 500 antigen test kits to Nanded district for early diagnosis of COVID-19. District Surgeon Dr. Nilkant Bhusikar said another 5,000 antigen test kits will be available in 3 to 4 days. Meanwhile, in order to provide healthcare services to the people in the rural areas of the state, Maharashtra government has decided to purchase 500 new ambulances. Sweety Jain, AR News, Mumbai.
In our series Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you the views of leading medical experts on COVID-19. Talking to AIR News, Dr. Uma Kumar, Head of Rheumatology Department, AIIMS, suggested to the people to follow social distancing, hand hygiene and cough etiquettes.
Only thing which helps is social distancing or physical distancing. Along with it, you have like hand hygiene, washing your hands very frequently, and cough etiquettes like while coughing or sneezing, just cover your face and nose. Use tissue paper or cloth, or if you don't have anything, you can just cough into your elbows. Third thing is using the face mask. For a general public, you can use cotton face mask, and then they have to be very positive. Don't give up, and surely we'll conquer over this virus.
President of Public Health Foundation of India, Dr. K. Srinath Reddy said India is in a much better position as compared to the rest of the world as far as the COVID-19 cases are concerned, and the measures taken are yielding results.
We started getting affected later than many other countries, but we are presently in a much better position than the rest of the world, and in that sense, we are better protected. However, we still have to watch how the epidemic advances over the next 2 to 4 weeks before we can come to a judgment. But right now, it appears that our measures taken progressively from February and peaking with the lockdown are now paying dividends and showing results.
The News Services Division of All India Radio in its bilingual live phone-in program today will bring you a special discussion on COVID-19. Dr. A.K. Varshni, Senior Medical Consultant, Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital will participate in this discussion. Listeners can ask questions to the experts on toll-free number 1800-115767. You can also call on 011-2331-4444 and post queries on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. This can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. This program will also be available on our website newsonair.com and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You can also follow us on the News on AIR app for updates. You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India is moving forward with the vision of a self-sufficient nation. Human trials of indigenously developed co-vaccine for COVID-19 begin in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. Sikkim declares week-long lockdown beginning tomorrow morning in view of recent surge in COVID-19 cases. New Consumer Protection Act comes into force today, aims to empower consumers through various notified rules and provisions. In Bihar, NDRF and SDRF teams deployed in worst flood-affected areas to avert untoward incidents. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
The Consumer Protection Act 2019 came into force from today. Briefing media about the new law through video conference in New Delhi today, Consumer Affairs Minister Ram Vilas Paswan said that this new act will empower consumers and help them in protecting their rights through its various notified rules and provisions. Mr. Paswan said the new act has been introduced after many amendments to provide protection to buyers, not only from traditional sellers but also from the new e-commerce retailers or platforms. Chemicals and Fertilizers Minister D.V. Sadananda Gowda has said that the availability of fertilizers is comfortable across the country and the states already have enough stocks. He said if there is any additional demand due to the ongoing sowing, supply will be expedited and urea will be made available in time to farmers. The minister said there has been significant spurt in demand for fertilizers across the country due to the ongoing Kharif season. To fulfill this requirement, Mr. Gowda said the government is working in close coordination with producers and state governments. In Bihar, the flood situation has deteriorated following discharge of 4.5 lakh cusecs water from Gandak barrage. The state government has asked district administration of 5 districts of Saran, Siwan, Gopalganj, East and West Champaran to shift people from lower areas to higher and safer places. Chief Secretary Deepak Kumar today reviewed the prevailing flood situation in the states. He instructed to deploy NDRF and SDRF teams in vulnerable areas to avert untoward incidents. The Assam government has said that there is no dearth of funds to help flood-affected people. Talking to AIR, Revenue and Disaster Management Minister Godan Mohan said that 102 crore rupees had been given to the district administrations to provide food items. The minister said that SDRF and NDRF along with local administration are carrying out relief and rescue measures.
Amidst the political crisis in the state, the Rajasthan High Court adjourned the hearing on the petition of former Deputy Chief Minister Sachin Pilot and 18 other rebel MLAs of Congress. The hearing will resume tomorrow at 10 a.m. 19 rebel MLAs of Congress have filed a petition seeking dismissal of the disqualification notices served to them. Details from our correspondent.
Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot today once again attacked former State Congress President Sachin Pilot for deceiving the party. He said that Mr. Pilot had been plotting against the government for the last 6 months. On the other hand, Sachin Pilot said that baseless allegations are being labelled to tarnish his image. He said he and his supporter MLAs will continue the legal battle. On the other hand, the CPIM has said that their party will remain neutral and will take appropriate decisions when the time comes. At the same time, 6 MLAs who shifted Congress from Bahujan Samaj Party also interacted with media today and expressed their commitment towards Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
The first batch of 5 Indian Air Force Rafale is likely to arrive in India by the end of this month. Indian Air Force said the aircraft will be inducted at Air Force Station Ambala on 29 July, subject to weather. Indian Air Force air crew and ground crew have undergone comprehensive training on the aircraft, including its highly advanced weapons systems, and are fully operational now. Post-arrival, efforts will focus on operationalization of the aircraft at the earliest.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the Puja Archana of the holy Chhadi Mubarak of this year's Swami Amarnath Ji Yatra was held at Shankaracharya Temple in Srinagar today. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Chhadi Mubarak of this year's Swami Amarnath Ji Yatra, led by Mahan Dipendra Giri, was taken to historic Shankaracharya Temple in Srinagar today for prayers on the occasion of Shravan Amavasya as per the age-old customs. The sound of conch shells reverberated and charged the whole atmosphere in and around the temple complex, and the Puja Archana was performed by chanting the Vedic hymns. Only selected number of sadhus participated in the prayers due to COVID-19 pandemic. Following all the protocols set by the Union Territory Administration, Pujan lasted for about 90 minutes. The Chhadi Mubarak shall be taken to Sharika Bhavani Temple at Hari Parbat in Srinagar tomorrow to pay obeisance to the goddess Sharika. This is Sunil Koul for AIR News from Srinagar.
The holy month of Shravan is all set to begin in Gujarat from tomorrow. The temple administration of the first Jyotirlinga Somnath in Gujarat has made a special arrangement for the devotees. A report.
Considering more number of devotees visiting the temple on weekends and on Mondays during Shravan, the temple administration has decided to extend the darshan timing from 23rd of July to 22nd of August. Accordingly, devotees can now take darshan from 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. in the morning and 7:30 to 9:15 p.m. in the evening. The special arrangements such as pedal-based sanitizers, thermal screening has been put in place in view of COVID-19. Wearing of mask is also compulsory to visit the temple. More than 300 police personnel have been deployed at the temple to maintain law and order. Similarly, the Nageshwar Jyotirlinga near Dwarka will also be open for devotees from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. during the holy month of Shravan. Aparna Khun, AR News, Ahmedabad.
In Chhattisgarh, a first-of-its-kind scheme in the country, Godan Yojana, has commenced from today. Our correspondent reports that Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel inaugurated the scheme by symbolically procuring cow dung.
Under the Godan Nyaya scheme, the Chhattisgarh government will procure cow dung at ₹2 per kilogram from livestock owners and use it to prepare organic fertilizers. Women self-help groups will prepare vermicompost using the cow dung procured under the scheme. This vermicompost will be sold at the rate of ₹8 per kg. Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Shri Baghel said that this scheme will prove to be a boon for farms and cattle ranchers and an elixir for the rural economy. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Now news from Business World. Equity benchmarks today surged more than 1%, driven by gains in financial and IT counters, shrugging off concerns over mounting COVID-19 cases. A report from Business World.
Starting the session on a positive note amid mixed global cues, the BSE Sensex closed at 37,419, up 399 points or 1.08%. Likewise, the broader NSE Nifty rose 121 points or 1.11% to end at 11,022. In the broader market at the BSE, the mid-cap also added 0.91% and the small cap logged a gain of 1.04%. The rupee today appreciated by 11 paise to settle at 74 rupees and 91 paise against the US dollar. And in intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading at $42.80 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were at $40.30 per barrel. V. Ravi Kumar for AIR News.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on the 26th of this month. It will be the 67th episode of the monthly radio program. Mr. Modi has asked people to share inspiring anecdotes of how collective efforts have brought about positive changes and transformed many lives. People can send their inputs for Mann Ki Baat by dialing 1-800-11-7800 and recording a message. They can also share inputs on the specially created open forum on the Namo app or on MyGov. People can also give a missed call on 1922 and follow the link received in SMS to directly give their suggestions to the Prime Minister. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will witness thunderstorm with rain tomorrow. It will have a minimum temperature of around 25 degrees Celsius and maximum of 33 degrees. Mumbai will witness generally cloudy sky with light rain. The minimum temperature will be 27 degrees Celsius and the maximum temperature will be around 33 degrees. Chennai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain tomorrow. The temperature will hover between 25 and 34 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will witness generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature in the metropolis will be around 27 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be 34 degrees. In the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while maximum will be around 32 degrees Celsius. The city will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature will be around 18 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be 32 degrees. The city will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Leh Ladakh will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 15 and 29 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 16 and 32 degrees Celsius. It will witness partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In Muzaffarabad, there will be partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. It will witness minimum temperature of 19 and maximum temperature of around 37 degrees. Chandigarh will witness generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature in the city will be 26 and the maximum around 29 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 24 and 32 degrees Celsius. The city will observe generally cloudy sky with few spells of rain or thunder showers. And now, before we end, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India is moving forward with the vision of a self-sufficient nation. Human trials of indigenously developed co-vaccine for COVID-19 begin in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. Sikkim declares week-long lockdown beginning tomorrow morning in view of recent surge in COVID-19 cases. New Consumer Protection Act comes into force today, aims to empower consumers through various notified rules and provisions. In Bihar, NDRF and SDRF teams deployed in burst flood-affected areas to avert untoward incidents. And that is all in the evening news. Good night.